Hey guys, welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV Bachelor After Show. It is Ladies' Night and we're recapping Season 21, Episode 7, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ladies' Night, that's right. Hey everybody, I'm Kristina Zias and I'm here with Chelsea.
Hi guys.
And our very special guest, also known as Ashley I.
Hello.
Is it weird that people still call you Ashley I?
I kind of like it.
You do?
Like I say,
Do you know anything different?
no,
You know?
I now, whenever I sign off doing anything, I'm like, this is Ashley I. And I'm like, whatever, it's kind of a thing. It's like Madonna. Oh,
That's
God.
We just went there.
I just
We're
went
2
there.
minutes in and
I
that's
like
how
being
we're
known by
going.
one name.
And an initial.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, sorry, I have my computer going on.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I just really messed up there.
No, don't worry. Ashley and Madonna, it's like the same thing. No big deal.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Um,
that's great.
I feel like Corinne is also going to be known as like a one-namer.
Yeah,
like that's
for
all she
sure.
needs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's-
no other famous person named Corinne.
No.
Right?
No.
No, I can't think of one person. So we were like kind of stressing about this episode because it seemed a little bit boring or like unclimatical. Like, what do you
Yeah.
guys think? Like,
I mean, I just think it was pretty slow, and I'm sure we'll get into it
Yeah.
later. But with the news that broke today, like that's kind of where my mind was, and already
Same.
knowing these spoilers. But I found myself like on Twitter a lot. You know, I wasn't super zoned in. There wasn't something that was so grabbing to me this episode.
What I thought was disappointing about this episode is that the Vanessa date came first, and I think we've all been kind of rooting for her,
Right.
And Rachel. I think those are like the two people that people assume Nick will end up with in the end. And now we eliminated Rachel as being his one today,
Right.
And then we see their date with Vanessa, and for some reason I wasn't blown away tonight.
same.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Okay, so let's get into like the whole episode because it started off on such a weird note, and I think it's because last episode ended on such a depressing one where Nick was like sobbing and was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find love." And for
Yeah.
me, if I was like one of those women, I would have been like, "Screw you! I'm here. I put my life on hold to find love with you.
For
And
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you I love you. So like, what do you mean?"
Right.
And we saw him
What
talk
do
to
you mean?
right, right. I mean, like, what do you think if you were in that position?
I'd be pissed.
You'd be
I mean, you
pissed,
could
right?
probably. I mean, you've been in that position. For someone who hasn't, like, if I'm sitting in a room with a guy being like, "I just don't know if I can do it." I think I said this last week. To me, that makes it feel like you don't even want to be there for me. Like, you know, we're all giving our heart and our soul to this situation, and you're not even.
Totally, and you don't even
even care.
So I feel like it
Well,
was
that's not
weird that the girls were kind of like okay with it, especially Raven. She was like really emotional about it, and I was
Yeah.
kind of just like, I think it started the episode off on like a wrong foot for me a little bit. And then, like you said, Vanessa got the first date rose, and we were so excited to see Vanessa go on a date. And I feel like they didn't even have that much fun.
Me neither. And like, she was very disappointed when he didn't reciprocate the "I love you" or "I'm falling in love with you" thing. Because apparently on the show, falling in love is totally different than actually being in love.
Actually, that's so true.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Okay.
Because everyone, think about it, like in every season,
A careful way of
it's a
saying
careful
I love
way,
you.
and
Yeah.
they have it very divided. Like, I'm falling for him, or I'm in
Yeah.
love. You know,
Yeah.
like
Right.
that's so
Yeah.
true. It's a huge divide.
She said, "I'm falling in love with him," right? Not, "I love you."
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know that they can't say "I love you" back, especially with 6 girls in the house. With Nick, I mean,
Right.
with Ben last season, we saw him say "I love you" to 2 girls, and look what the trouble he got into. So
Right.
of course Nick's not gonna say "I love you" back at this point.
Okay, but I don't think it's like him not saying "I love you" back. I feel like it's the way he reacted. He was like, "I really like you a lot," which I feel like would have been fine. But then he like went on to this whole thing about how like the next person he says "I love you" to, he wants it to be like the last person or like whatever.
Yeah, that tangent. I don't know what that accent just was, but that tangent was pretty bizarre. Like if I was sitting there as Vanessa, I'd be like, "What is happening?"
I agree. I mean, you know Nick a little bit better, obviously, than we do. But like, do you were
That
you
didn't
surprised?
come across weird to me.
It didn't.
No.
Okay.
I would have had the same natural reaction that Vanessa did, where it was like, oh crap, he's just
Right.
not reciprocating these feelings, and like I'm feeling super sad about this, and I liked her facial expression. Her facial expression actually was so real. That's the way a girl should look while receiving the news that like he's not gonna reciprocate the "I'm falling in love with you" back. But knowing Nick, I think he's just trying to be really careful about revealing too much too soon.
But do you feel like he's been trying to be so careful this whole season that it's almost like enough?
I think
he's
so.
already in the process, right? So
Definitely.
I just feel like he's been tiptoeing around everything. Like he wants to be
Yeah.
careful with what he's saying. He wants to be careful with this. Like
I think you're
It's
totally
just-
right, because this week and last week I've felt this weird lull where it's the first time I'm not feeling truly connected to any of the couples.
Right.
yeah.
Like I thought there was a sparkle with Vanessa's first date. We thought there was a sparkle with Rachel's first date. But now I'm just like thinking, is he really going to be ready to propose at the end of this? Because we don't
Yeah.
feel him feeling those strong feelings.
I honestly think that the only person I feel those feelings with are with Rachel. And that's why I was so bummed, because I really like Vanessa and I
Yeah.
want him to love her.
Yeah.
And I really thought that there would be something there, but like tonight
Yeah.
I saw no magic. And
too.
people in the chat roll are pissed.
Oh, they
okay,
are.
so like
Okay.
I don't want to give a spoiler, and I don't think this is, but all this news came out about Vanessa being an actress. And I think people are really
Yeah.
pissed about it. They don't like believe her being there for love.
Well, we kind of talked about this a little before the show, but I mean, in my personal opinion, this isn't obviously an offensive way, but I think the Bachelor and Bachelorette shows have become such a platform now for other, whether it's social media, like different opportunities. And I think like people see others who have been on the show, they're like, oh, well, that's an in. So let me go that avenue and let's just see what comes out of it, because
Right.
it's been such a success, the past few seasons in that way. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not one to say if she is on there for love or not, but I think that is super disappointing. She has this whole IMDb page, that's just full of what she's going after.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I think it's only disappointing to people because she comes off as like this, all she talks about is her students.
Yeah.
Right.
And like being a special needs teacher,
Yeah.
which is so great, and people fall in love with her because
Yeah.
of that.
Yes.
So otherwise, I feel like if she was upfront about it, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But since people are kind of like discovering it a little bit later on after they already see their relationship evolving, I think that's why it's so surprising.
I mean, that wouldn't be something that you think the producers would have purposely
Released right now? Oh, cut?
Yeah, like if she was talking to Nick, like, oh,
she's
I'm
not talking
pursuing-
to Nick about acting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I have a lot to say on this issue.
Say it.
Okay, so basically, I think you're crazy if you go on The Bachelor thinking, like, I'm going to find the love of my life. I'm only doing this to find love. And also, I'm so exhausted of the term find love. And I just think it's like, it now sounds like something packaged by The Bachelor. That term, find
Yeah.
love. I don't think you ever say it in daily life. So,
Right. Like no one says like, oh gosh, I really want to find love.
Yeah.
I know.
Not like that at least.
No.
Because
No.
it's always they're on this journey to find love. I think that's what they
Yeah.
say. They're always on this journey.
No, it's
to
like, I
find-
want to find the guy. I want to find him. Like, you don't say, like, I want to find love. Like, what? Like, what are we living in? And I'm the hopeless romantic saying this. So you're crazy if you're going on The Bachelor saying, like, I'm only doing this for love. You have to think about it in a broad sense. You're going to be, like, making friends. You're going to be having a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You're going to tell your kids. You shouldn't be going there just for the right reasons. You're going to travel. You're going to, like, literally form a relationship quicker than you've ever before. You're going to disconnect from life, which is healthy. Like, there's so many different things
Right.
that are good about the experience. If you think you're finding your husband, that's really highly unlikely. However, However, I went in with it like 50%, this is going to be good for my career. I never hid the fact that I was a broadcasting major. But the other half of me was like, I will throw all of my career dreams aside if this man is my actual husband.
So like if it worked with Chris, like you would have been like, screw E-News, like I'm going to Iowa.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Absolutely 100%. I say that with certainty. So there's that. And then there's also, whoops.
Fine times.
I don't think that this is an appropriate outlet for somebody who wants to get into acting because you're revealing all of yourself. So it's kind of like when we get to know actors and actresses too much in, tabloids, we start looking at them in movies and like, oh, I know that real person. I know what they're going through in real life.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's the actors that really keep their personal life private that we're able to invest more in their actual characters. So I just don't know if it really makes sense to go on The Bachelor if you're pursuing an acting career.
I mean, here's the thing: whether she makes it in acting and/or finds love, like she now has a platform. So for whatever reason, if she is on it for that reason, like kudos, good job. There, whatever.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens. Like,
but what you're saying about the whole it's kind of sad because we think of her as the special ed teacher.
Right.
Now she's the actress special ed teacher.
Right.
So it just makes her
it's
a
just
little
a
bit
little
less
disappointing. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make her as like authentic, I think.
Yeah.
And I still really like her. Like, she seems like a great person. I feel like out of the women that are there,
Yeah.
especially out of the women that are left, like, I see him gravitating to her for sure.
She
But I
makes the most
understand why-
sense with him,
She
in my
does.
opinion.
Yeah.
What you were talking about before, like kind of really seeing him with someone. I mean, I think I've watched almost every season of The Bachelor or in Bachelorette, and when I have, I've always been like, I've felt like I've been on that journey with them,
Right.
or like I've teared up, or I've been like, oh my god, that's so sweet, like all these different roller coaster emotions. I have not felt that. Any of that once
Completely
this
agree.
entire season.
I completely
I've never
agree,
been like,
too.
oh my god, those two, or had a tear. I've just been like,
I can't believe in 4 weeks we're gonna see
He's
him.
supposed to be
we're gonna see
proposing to
him
someone.
propose to someone.
Like, are
we
you
don't feel
kidding?
connected.
No,
enough
we don't
right
feel
now.
connected at
yeah.
all.
I mean, as a viewer, I don't feel any connect, or I'm not like, honestly, I think the women outside of this are probably all great. But in this situation, I don't feel like I'm necessarily rooting for one in particular.
But do you feel like you're less connected to Nick or less connected to the women?
Well, for me, as somebody who's connected to Nick in real life,
Yeah.
I'm still lacking that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine
'Cause
what
I
you
think
guys
that's
feel.
what it is
Yeah.
for me. Like,
I
I
mean,
actually
so
like the
disconnected.
women. I think there are great
Yeah,
women
that's what
on
I'm
there.
saying. Yeah.
But you're right. I don't believe this love story between
No.
them. Like, I don't see it. Okay, so then we have like the group date, and it's Kristina, Corinne, and Raven.
Yeah.
Right.
And at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are these the only girls that are left? Like,
That's
we're
where we're
at
at.
this point.
Yeah.
Like, they're talking about hometown dates, and I'm like, it just seems like so fast. Like,
But
how are they going to meet their
craziest
parents?
thing is now that Rachel's the Bachelorette, we eliminate her from the running. Just like, so really, after tonight's episode, we are down to Vanessa, Corinne, and Raven.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are your three.
Also, guys,
That's top.
disclaimer, like, obviously this is a spoiler alert, but like, it's honestly, if you turn on your TV, you'll see it or read the internet. Like,
Right.
Rachel,
Are we talking about the Pacific Coast?
yeah, we'll get to it later on, but obviously the next Bachelorette was announced, and it is Rachel.
Yeah.
So kind of does throw things off, but we'll get into why that sucks so much later on. But you're totally right. Like, it ruins the story.
Totally.
And on this group date, I was like, I just didn't feel it with any of them. It was so awkward to me.
There's none of them. There's
guys-
no like steam coming out of the TV like those two belong together.
You guys have to go back and watch. There was like this one clip, and I think it was after they came back in from Swimming with Sharks, and it was Nick sitting in between Kristina and Corinne, and Raven was off to the side, like it didn't even seem like she cared to be there, or
Yeah.
that she wasn't even on the date. So the fact that she got the group date rose, I was like, was she even present?
Yeah. I don't it's all pretty. This is a really interesting season, I think.
So last week also there was that one-on-one with Kristina and Nick, and we heard like that heartwarming story,
Yeah, now she's gone.
and now she's gone. So it's like,
Ashley's just gonna give it to you real straight.
I mean, but like, were you surprised to
I'm
see him
honestly
let her
getting
go?
so jaded that I feel like I'm watching. I feel like I know too much to be talking about this show right now.
Ashley was like kind of freaking out while watching it because she was like, I don't know what's real or what's not.
Yeah, I mean that's all I'm gonna say right now.
I mean,
well, okay, so in regards to Kristina,
yeah.
I mean, and I know we've had some comments on YouTube, like it's not a secret that I am not Nick's biggest fan out there. However, with that being said, whether it was producer front or if that's like Nick's heart, I think that was the most respectful way to let her go, as opposed to walking her into a rose ceremony, doing all of that BS, you know, and especially like with her story. And I think they did have somewhat of some level of connection. So I thought that was really respectful how he decided to pull her aside.
To both the girls.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just got the wrong link to this. I'm just deleting the link.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so...
Well, I think that he obviously seemed to actually care about her and respect her as a person. So it was great to see that. And I feel like it was like the first time where I saw him be a little bit more emotional, where I actually felt for him because he's cried so much.
He's cried so much.
Today's
And I
tears
haven't
were
believed
very, very
Genuine.
true, genuine.
Yeah.
Do you think he's just so tired of this process? Like, do you think
I
he's
think
questioning?
he's so tired and so emotionally drained, and that's why these tears, because they're not overdone. Like he's literally welling up.
He's just losing it.
He's just losing it, and he really he's like such a hard shell, but he's a mush inside. I've said this a zillion times this season, but that's why I even felt like I got emotional on you guys while watching that, because Nick can be like egotistical and he can be really hard. But then I'm watching him let Kristina down, and he acted with her the way he's acted with me in the past, and it brought me back to all these moments in Paradise and just before Paradise, and just talking about like struggling relationships and how he's really doing his very best to protect Kristina from future pain, more pain. I feel like he may have rather brought Kristina to a hometown,
Right.
but knew he wasn't going to end up with her, so he was like, why put her through the emotional pain of bringing her home?
Totally.
And I think
I just got chills when he said that a little bit.
we know that Corinne is probably like, she got a hometown. We can say that she got a hometown now.
I think.
Well, we think.
Wait, we think?
Yeah, because he hasn't officially
I mean, I think Corinne is
getting a hometown date.
My personal opinion, if Corinne was not on this season, the show would be so flat. Corinne's going hometown. Like, they're gonna have to do something with her nanny. Like,
100%.
So they didn't officially announce that they were going to her hometown, but she is, and he kind of, I think he feels far more willing to play with her emotions than he is with Kristina. So that's why she gets that fourth hometown spot.
So what you just said, don't you think that's very telling, like, of those two women's personalities?
Of Christina's and Corinne's?
Yeah. Like, so you're saying he's
not taking Corinne as seriously.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Do you think, okay, so Corinne throughout this whole episode is like kind of freaking out.
But I felt Corinne so hard because she was exactly the way that many of us act on that rose ceremony day, where we're running around and we're just telling our friends, we're like, I'm leaving tonight, I know I'm leaving tonight.
But do you think that she genuinely like actually cares about Nick and wants to be with him, or is it more like just no one wants to be turned down?
When she said, would she say that she'd live in a shack with no diamonds?
Yes.
You know, that's how I usually qualify the man that I would spend the rest of my life with. I'm not even joking you. There has been like 2 guys in my life where I'd be like, I'd be happy living in a shack with him, and it'd be fine. I'd be happier than settling for a boring guy and living in a big house.
Yeah. I guess that's true. I mean, so what do you think about like Nick turning her down then? Because like she went to his room. I thought for a second we're gonna have like a Nick Caitlyn scenario, and that just did not happen.
Right. He wasn't going to make that mistake.
Right.
Because he knew that when he did it with Caitlyn, that he knew that it hurt the other guys a lot, and he didn't want to hurt the other girls the way that he hurt the other guys, I think.
And it was also like a lot later in the season too than I feel like when that happened with him and Caitlyn.
Maybe it was a week earlier that he did it with Caitlyn.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Corinne like took it pretty well though, because if I was in that situation and I went and I snuck off to see the guy, and then like we're making out and stuff, and then all of a sudden he like kind of just turns me down and sends me away, I feel like I'd be mortified and crushed. And I guess she was too.
I think she was mortified.
Yeah.
She was definitely embarrassed, but I also think that in the back of her mind, she was like, oh, he doesn't want to make the same mistake again that he did on Caitlyn's season. That's how I would think about it. I don't know. Maybe that's too logical for Corinne.
Part of me feels like Corinne's like never seen The Bachelor before. I don't know. I feel like,
so I signed up for this show.
I kind of feel like that's what she's like.
Raquel said in this application.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
What's the difference between sleeping with somebody at that point and sleeping with somebody in the fantasy suite, though?
There's not.
No,
I
I
don't
think
think
there's
there
a big
is.
difference. I think it's a big difference for the other girls.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about with,
but
like,
why does it matter then?
If I was the final rose, the girl who gets the final rose, and I thought the week that you proposed to me, you slept with 2 other girls, that would gross me out, and I think linger for me with it forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
All of this would linger with me.
I don't know. I've never thought about that before.
Oh, I think about it all the time.
But do you think that you do? Do you think that they all get really upset about it? If like you're
Because
proposed to and that you found out that they slept with the other 2 people?
I for sure. think
I'd
so.
be like, are you joking me? Like, you felt strongly enough towards me to
propose
propose
to me.
But then,
Right.
so like that means you must like me a lot more than the other 2 girls, but then you still went ahead and slept with the other 2 within days.
It is within days, isn't
That
it?
makes it seem like he was just, hooking up with the other 2 because the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
How many of the Bachelor and Bachelorettes do you think sleep with all 3 people in the fantasy suites, or at least all 2?
I would say it was like 70%. Did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like at that point though, like you're probably so confused and you have so many emotions, and like if the night ends up going that way, you probably like just want to like give everything you have and like see where the night goes. Do
Maybe
you know what I mean?
can't speak as a virgin, but maybe you need to actually have sex with the person before you commit to that. Maybe it really can change things that much.
But I feel like the chemistry like really matters.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. But you're right. Like, I would be like, what the hell? Like, you just slept with 2 other people and you're
Yeah.
proposing to me. Like,
Right.
that is crazy. But at the same time, you
The
just
whole
dated like 25
and
other
the whole
people.
concept of the
True.
show is so crazy as is. Like when you really break it down, if you compare
Right.
it to real life. But I don't know. Like that's
No, it's pretty weird, but like also in the same boat, in Paradise, Wells made out with me and 2 other girls within the same span of 2 hours, and I was fine with that. How was I fine with that? Because I literally thought he likes me most.
Right. So then
Yeah,
maybe
what
you
a
would feel the
crazy-
same way
But
if
then
they
I
were
was
proposing
like, but
to
then
you.
at the same time, I was like, if you like me the most, why are you even bothering with those
Right.
2?
Yeah. I don't know.
Wild.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that getting back to it, I feel like that's the reason why Nick didn't want to hook up with Corinne.
Totally, yeah.
Because I feel like he probably does. Like,
It
I
was
feel
a
like he
respect
would.
thing to the other girls.
Totally.
Yeah.
And mostly, I think, a respect thing to like Vanessa and Rachel and Raven.
Do you not think that he was watching his own back as well?
Definitely.
He was definitely, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Right?
probably a more
Okay.
respect thing
Oh,
for
yeah.
himself.
For himself.
Oh, yeah, there was that too. He was like, I'm not going to actually do this again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, let's
Yeah.
not sugarcoat
Oh my
it.
gosh, imagine if he did it again.
Yeah.
No
That'd be-
way. He would never allow himself to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this amazing date then. Well, okay, no, we'll get to that last. We have this date with Danielle M. And everyone is kind of like, why is there even a one-on-one date here?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just fell so flat.
I feel bad because Brooks and Danny aren't here
Yeah.
and we miss you guys, but they love Danielle. So I wish like we could have had their reaction to it because all
Yeah.
of us were kind of like, what's the point of this date right now? It just felt so boring.
Well, there was, like you were talking about, there was no chemistry.
None.
There's been no chemistry the entire season
Yeah.
between the 2 of them. I do
I
not
mean,
know
I
how
think
she got this
she's
far.
a total. She's probably a total sweetheart, but with him in this dating in this situation, like there was nothing.
Yeah.
They could have been brother and sister.
Yeah.
They could have.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious as to whether or not she felt those feelings, or whether it's got to be the bubble that you lived in, because obviously we live in a bubble, and
You mean when you're on the show? When you're a
yeah,
contestant.
and you feel far more intense feelings for that person. The Bachelor, I think, in Paradise, the feelings are far more authentic. They
In Bachelor
in Paradise, they last far beyond the actual filming.
Why do you think that
Even
is?
even though it's a shorter amount of time that you're there.
Yeah, but there's like way more actual time, because
Okay.
like in a Bachelor week on The Bachelor, you see the Bachelor possibly a minimum of 4 hours per
Because that is
episode week.
nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What's the maximum you would see them?
if you have a one-on-one date, you could be with them. I feel like 4 to 5 hours
In a week.
in a
Like for that
Bachelor
date.
episode week.
Okay.
Like a Bachelor episode week usually
Right.
ranges from 4 to 6 days.
Okay.
Um,
That's
Wow,
crazy.
That's wild.
So yeah, I'm just wondering like if she really felt that. That's me going one more week on Crystal season, one more week, and if I were saying things like that to him, it would be because I was living in the bubble.
Right.
Because when I got on that plane, I was like, oh, he was really hot. I was really attracted to him, but we didn't go that deep yet. We
Yeah.
just didn't get that deep.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get that deep.
I think that they got pretty deep, though. I mean, I feel like even
Well-
from their first one-on-one, like,
think
she definitely
so?
confided a lot to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think those feelings, I'm sure, are half bubble, but I also think that she's probably in a place in her life where she truly, like,
Yeah.
is really
yeah.
craving that person.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You
Yeah,
know?
you're right.
And they're
So-
both from Wisconsin. Like, I feel like they did have this automatic, like, comfort and connection with each other.
But
you know?
I think it was a comfort.
It was a
Yeah, it
comfort.
was just a comfort. No, it was just
This
like
is so interesting because I
Yeah.
didn't see that at all.
Well, even
it was
Nick was
just
like, I
like-
feel so comfortable with
Yeah.
you. And or she said that, and I was like, ooh.
But it was like a family comfort, not like
Okay.
I want to be in bed with you, like I want to wake up to you every morning kind of comfort.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was just like like we're on this wild journey and I could have like a little, I don't know. They were just more comfort than chemistry.
She seemed to me a little blindsided, though, when Nick decided to send her home. Like, I feel like she was pissed. And I don't know if it was because she was maybe just blindsided or because she really cared about him or because she was like, wait, Corinne's still here. Like,
I think she thought
yeah.
Corinne's still here.
And she's made
like
it
I'm
this
safe.
far.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at this point, I feel like any of them are probably going to be blindsided.
So what I took away from
I
their
don't know. See, that's
No?
another thing where from personal experience, I knew when my time was running out. I knew when my time was running out on Paradise, on the show especially.
What
and
made, like, just your gut feeling?
yeah, because you're watching him with the other girls and
Girls.
you're like, okay, so at the beginning, I knew I was in the head of the pack. And now, surrounded by these girls, I know I'm at the end of the pack.
Remember on Ben's season when they did that date in the Bahamas with all the pigs and
Yes,
everyone
all
was
the
kind of
girls
like
were insecure.
freaking out
Yeah.
because they're like, this is like, look at him and Lauren together.
yeah.
So I guess it's that sort of
But,
feeling.
like, to me, like, or do either of you have that when watching this season? Are you like her?
Yes, I feel that way about Rachel. I honestly see
You?
Wait,
Like,
her?
Like I'm saying,
that's her?
when you're
like that
watching-
connection
yeah.
when you
You're
That's
see
like,
how
them.
that's for sure her.
That's how I felt on his one-on-one with Vanessa a couple weeks ago, but not today.
Right.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think I like Rachel with the fact that she's very lighthearted and fun around him, and we actually see him smile and laugh around her. I think that that's a girl that he could date in real life, but I don't think that's his forever person.
Okay, well, you know him way better than like us and most of America watching. But
Yeah.
from what I see on TV,
You like the Nick with her the best.
100%.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no one else. Like when I see them together, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to be on that date. Like they seem like they're having such a good time, and she is so likable and she seems so genuine. And I honestly think she brings out the best version of Nick by far.
I agree, actually. That's the kind of Nick that I want to hang around.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, if we didn't know what we know, I would say Rachel is a shoo-in for the top two.
So, top two. Like,
Yeah.
you just
Totally.
think that obviously the top two is
And maybe
between
she does make it to the, you know?
Do you think
like-
so? I don't.
No, they would never make a finale that anticlimactic.
Right, they wouldn't.
But, okay.
So that
time out.
means-
So should we talk about Rachel now?
okay.
Can we talk about why they would ever
Well,
announce
that's what I'm saying.
this?
Because then, so if she does
Definitely.
make it top two, you guys, I'm not even gonna, I mean, I have to watch it, but like, I wouldn't, you know?
Okay, I just don't understand why they announced it. And I'm so happy for her. Last episode on our after show, we were talking about like whether
Yeah.
or not we thought Rachel was going to be the next Bachelorette, and we were kind of divided. Some of us were like, yeah, absolutely, I think she's a shoo-in, and other ones were like, no, I don't think ABC is ready to choose a black Bachelorette. It's pretty much what the conversation was. Like, is America okay with that? And then all of a sudden, like a week later, they've already chosen her.
So what I've heard, and this is purely just social media,
Okay.
is that her being the Bachelorette was leaked via Reality Steve.
Okay.
And so they had to make this push. But I don't know how all of this stuff would be out so fast and like in such form. Because isn't she on Kimmel tonight?
Yeah, she was on Kimmel
Yes.
tonight.
So there's no way that
And-
she just booked that today. Like they
no,
didn't
it
call
was
her.
booked.
Maybe.
It was booked. I know yesterday. I know that she was like on the schedule yesterday.
But I'm saying like they didn't call her yesterday. It was like, oh my god.
Oh
it's
no,
leaked.
no, definitely not. And for real, like Reality Steve usually calls the Bachelorette.
Right.
He usually does. Like he just knows which
Yeah.
one they're trying to go for.
So I mean, maybe Charo can chime in like with their thoughts, but I, as just a viewer with like no like personal ties. I think that sucks that they did that. I think it ruins the rest of the show.
I think it really does.
Like, I think that totally sucks.
I'm so disappointed about it because I honestly, if I didn't know that, I would have thought Rachel could be the winner or at least be top 2.
Yeah.
So it's so disappointing, and I honestly don't get what the point is. Like, find reality Steve, but like, there's leaks all the time. Do you know what I mean?
I cannot think it would be a
So
reality
then,
Steve.
why do you think it was? Do you think they needed people to want to like? Do you think they need more cast?
Also, usually there are 2 people that get signed as the Bachelor, like
Or
they
the Bachelor.
sign
And
a
then they pick.
contract, and then they pick. Like,
Right.
and those 2 don't really get too much notice. Like Luke and
pretty much-
and Nick.
Right.
Like it was Luke was blindsided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or even Kayla
I'm
and
forever just
JoJo.
gonna
Kayla and
be-
JoJo. Kayla was
Yeah.
blindsided.
Yeah.
So that usually happens. Where was I going with this? Just
Why
would they do it now? It has nothing to do with reality Steve Link. It has to have to do with casting, because
Really?
it has to. It's the only thing I can think of. That and it's
I
Black
wonder
History
if they'll,
Month.
like-
But Black History Month continues for another 2 weeks.
I wonder if
You
they're
think
gonna
so?
do a
It does,
press
it's
release
February.
of like.
No, but I'm saying, but what does that have to do with it?
I think that
Well, this is a very iconic historical thing for ABC.
I know, but do you think that they're purposely releasing it like so many weeks early because of Black
because of
History
casting.
Month?
No, because of casting.
Okay, because I was
No,
gonna
it's
say.
not Black History Month. I'm saying like that's sort of like a joke, because there's 2 more weeks of that, and they could have done it.
right.
Are
in
you
2
saying
weeks.
casting in the sense because she is a Black Bachelorette?
Casting because she's a Black Bachelorette, and I think because she's a lawyer and because she's Black, they're gonna. We're getting into this race thing, and it's gonna be like really touchy to talk about, but
Yeah.
they're gonna really want like the creme de la creme for her.
Right.
They're gonna want more Black guys than usual for sure. They're gonna want to draw those Black guys into the casting process, because normally I wouldn't think that Black guys really audition for the show. So I think they're
That's
like, look
interesting.
at this amazing woman that we have, who is a lawyer. We like you.
You get to see
Black
her family
males,
next week.
Yeah, we want you to see her federal court judge dad.
Right.
And we want those kind of professional, wonderful men to be vying for her attention.
So
I think that
interesting.
still sucks though.
I think, well, it sucks for us as viewers
Yeah.
because now, like, we kind of fall out of love with this whole process.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I almost, like, don't feel like part of the journey anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
What is the turn?
do you think there's
turnaround
going to
time?
be a lot of a draw, like with her being announced? Do you think that there's going to be more Black men that apply?
I don't
Do you
know,
think
but
so?
she
Are they
obviously
just still
likes
gonna-
white men. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I
she's
think
here
they're
for
gonna
Nick,
do
and
a
she
very
talks that
good
she's been
balance.
dating that
Right. So
white
it's
men.
like, why can't we can, I don't know.
Well, that's why I think we're so shocked, like why they would announce it now. Because for us, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I get what you're saying about like them needing to cast more people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they want to make this just like every other season, like they don't need that extra time to cast.
They don't. They shouldn't
Right? They
need it.
shouldn't
They
need
shouldn't
that
need it
at
because
all.
unless they're trying to look for more Black guys, which I just probably think is not usually in the demographic of auditions. But
Yeah.
I would think, aren't we past that? Like, she's dating a white guy on the show right now.
Right, and she's super badass. She's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
she's a good girl. So
think-
they don't need this extra cushion time for casting.
No, I don't think they do.
Well, I do think that like I can see her being like, I'm not gonna go on there if someone's profession is like twins. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want like real viable options.
But how come all of a sudden she gets?
I think it's no
the
different
special
than
of-
when Andy is a lawyer.
That's
like
true,
she
too.
deserves
You know?
a guy with as much like kick-ass skill and
Yeah.
smarts as she has.
Yeah.
So why is that any different? Or why is any woman should deserve a guy who's
Less.
well-rounded
Right.
and amazing?
Totally, they
I
all
mean,
I mean,
should.
if that's the reason.
We're trying not to cast bums here, and I think they, maybe are they casting bums?
I mean,
Have they been? Because I remember The Bachelor that I grew up with was that like you get a professional man. So do they want to go back to that? We want real professional guys right now.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking to about why people are also signing up or putting their applications to be on the show. Like, I think the whole if you look at this, like Ryan and Trista,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I love Ryan and Trista.
Oh my God, forever and always. But like that casting was, I guarantee it
different.
is night and day from what who's
Totally.
showing up.
Totally, you're right. You're
know?
right. I don't know. We're getting really we're getting to issues that people are gonna have a lot of opinions on.
Yeah.
Well, I hope her season is very successful because I really do like her as a person, and I think she's so cute and so fun to watch that I hope that this process works for her. But what I'm so confused about is like, who do you think, who else do you think signed the contract for the next Bachelorette? If it's like you're
I
saying,
don't think they
I don't
did.
think
That's
anyone,
where I
yeah.
was trying to go with that conversation. I don't think that I didn't get to the
you
point.
think that they just chose her?
yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely didn't even contemplate anyone else.
But like then that takes away from everything, even after this, like after the final rose, the whole like that takes all of this away from it. Like
Yeah.
who is it gonna be?
Yeah.
And I think like as Bachelor Nation, or at least for me, like
That's always something fun. That's
you
like,
know?
oh, he picked her. Okay, now
Yeah.
who's gonna be the next Bachelorette? And I just want to reiterate that we shouldn't be like this is 2017. We shouldn't have to
Yeah.
recast because the
No.
girl is black.
Right,
Are
that's
you joking
crazy.
me? Yeah.
Do you think that ABC is gonna have to put out a release of why they did this?
No.
No.
They don't have to explain themselves.
So the chat roll is really interesting because a lot of people are like, I think it's because of casting. They're saying it's the caliber of guys. Like, look at the people that they were casting.
So
the
they're
past.
saying it is caliber. Like
And then
they're,
other people are saying that. So they think that the reason that they announced it so quickly is because that they want it to be Rachel, and that they're worried as the season continues, America might start to want someone else to be the next Bachelorette.
That's the Kayla JoJo debate because The Bachelor wanted Kayla to be the Bachelorette because
What do you mean The
ethnicity
Bachelor
thing.
wanted?
I'm saying ABC.
Oh,
Sorry,
got
ABC.
it. Okay.
of JoJo because of
They wanted Kayla because they wanted to add the ethnicity then, but people
gosh.
were just like
loving JoJo.
hell to the knob because they love JoJo and then they didn't feel Kayla.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's one of their concerns
It
now
could
too.
be, but I think that Rachel is the obvious one. It's one of the obvious
I think
favorites.
so too.
Yeah,
I think
for
like
sure.
the only other person that they would consider would be Raven.
Yeah, but no. Like, I much rather, am
Much
far
rather watch
more
Rachel.
entertained watching Rachel.
Totally.
Siri.
Unless
Siri doesn't
it could
understand
be,
what we're talking about.
I feel like the only other person that people would be
I have a
interested in
theory.
what? Corinne?
What if, say, let's be hypothetical here.
Okay.
Yes.
Raven is the runner-up, and
Okay.
she is so shattered that everybody's like, you need to make her the Bachelorette because she's so heartbroken, and Rachel will be fine on her own.
But they already announced Rachel, so they. I mean, I guess
That's
they
what I'm
could,
saying. Like
but they can't
the
like take that back.
people would be too empathetic, is what I'm saying. If they were to, after the final rose,
Right.
pick Rachel instead of Raven.
Right, if she's so heartbroken
so
and they're like, wait, we
heartbroken.
really want her to find love.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good point. However, I do feel like a lot of people after JoJo's season was like, okay, it doesn't make sense to choose someone who was like final two because they are kind of still heartbroken and hung up on that guy. Like, remember how many times like JoJo would talk about Ben on every single date?
Oh my God, every date. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
imagine if it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
Rachel
Yeah.
or Raven comparing everything to Nick. People would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear about Nick anymore.
Right.
You know?
I feel like I should know this answer, but what is the turnaround time from The Bachelor to The Bachelorette?
Well, it's very fast.
So they're probably almost like going to start shooting.
From the finale,
Yeah.
the finale of The Bachelor is 10 days tops from the start of filming for The Bachelorette.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
come on. 10 days?
Yeah, the final rose. It's not like the actual, the actual final rose happened in November. You know?
Right.
So, but
From
from
the
yeah.
final rose
I'm saying
airs.
for
the
them
final
and
rose
their
airs
timeline.
to the start of the filming for the Bachelorette season, it is tops 10 days.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
10
crazy.
to 14 days.
Okay, so even though I'm so
Hope I'm not
pissed
rude.
that ABC announced it,
Oh, that's no secret, right?
I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Even though I'm upset that ABC announced it, I'm at least excited to get to know Rachel a little bit more.
Me too.
So hopefully it'll be like great seeing her family on hometown dates and like being introduced to them. And I don't know, hopefully America like falls in love with her even more and will want to watch her, you
Or
know?
maybe America hopefully just doesn't say so pissed at ABC that it affects Rachel. Like, I think they hopefully thought about that too. You know, what if everyone's just like, I'm so pissed at that. Like, whatever, do you think that's a possibility? Like, whatever to you, ABC, we're not watching this.
No, there's a chance that I guess ratings can go down because there's like spoilers are already revealed. But
Yeah.
So just so you know, people are saying on chat roll that she starts shooting in 3 weeks. They announced
Okay.
it on Kimmel tonight.
Oh.
So
yeah,
that's before
we didn't get to watch
the
Kimmel.
final rose.
There's something interesting going on now.
There's something going on.
There's something.
Someone get to
definitely
the bottom
going
of
on
it.
because that is way early. That is earlier.
Early.
That is early.
I don't know. Well, I'm hoping that everyone's just really excited about Rachel and they're like, screw it. We're making this decision. We're rolling with it and America's going to love her and love it. You know? I don't know. Okay, so next week
She can start shooting her packages in 3 weeks, like her hometown footage.
Her walking on the beach and
I don't know if she's gonna actually start filming it. I don't know. That's super weird.
Well, I don't know.
That's interesting.
It is crazy. Okay, so hometown dates, I guess start next week, right?
Yeah.
Whose hometown date are you guys most excited to
Corinne.
see?
Actually, maybe Rachel.
Rachel?
I kind of want to see her dad.
I'm actually excited to see all of them. And weirdly, not that interested in Vanessa's hometown date.
I'm least interested in Ravens.
Oh, I don't know. I think Ravens is gonna be like a good, like just
good Southern.
Southern.
Yeah, I feel like her
And
hometown
I
date will be
love that.
fun.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so too. Corinne, I feel like it's going to be all
Just
about the
hearing it
nanny.
be
It's
hysterical.
going to be
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that he
Rachel's
could've-
will be great.
He could have brought Corinne to hometowns just for the sake of the humor he's gonna get out of it.
For sure.
That's
Yeah.
definitely why he's doing it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about him saying like how nervous he is to meet these girls' dads because like he's met 2 other dads already
Yeah.
and asked them both for permission? I feel like my dad would give him a hard time.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You've asked for permission twice on TV.
Right.
And now you're going again, and it's
Right.
no secret that you're dating multiple women.
Right.
And you're going to hypothetically ask in case you decide.
I have a theory on this
that,
too.
You know, that I don't know. And I think he's also probably pooping his pants because, like I said last week on this show, I don't think he stays engaged, married. Like, I don't think this goes anywhere past the show. So,
So you don't think he'll get married?
no.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not saying maybe ever. Maybe he will at some point in his life, but not from.
To one of these
This-
ladies.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that has to be hard for him going into a position where for the past, 100 seasons, like, these guys are asking their dad's permission.
He's certainly not gonna ask his dad's permission.
You
He
don't
will
think so?
No, he will do what Ben did. He called at the end before.
To ask JoJo's.
No,
No, Lauren.
he didn't ask Lauren's parents for permission, so he called her parents, and that is what Nick's gonna do. I think.
Interesting.
Okay.
I just should
yeah.
clarify to everybody that I actually have no idea what happens.
This is just
He's
you.
my friend, but I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
He's very
But that's
secretive.
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I do
I'm
not see him.
latching on to that theory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's so crazy. I'm excited, a little apprehensive, but excited to see where
Yeah.
the season goes.
So,
Do you guys have any last minute predictions for what's going to happen?
Oh, that's cool.
I know. There's some light and sound effects happening for those of you that are listening. Ashley is tripping. She likes it.
It's really cool. I'm looking at my notes right now and thinking about times that I love that bartender at the beach who said, "You make sure this guy really needs you, not just wants you."
That was really cool.
amen to that man.
Yeah.
Let's just give a shout out to that
Yeah.
man for a second.
I
Whether
know.
he
He
was
was like
planted there or not, that
he was a
great.
little Jorge,
Yeah.
a little wisdom man, a little
He
Buddha
was.
on the beach.
Because it's so true.
It's always nice to have somebody else's opinion, like somebody who's like, "What is this show? This is kind of funny. I've never been part of
Yeah.
this." And then he just has a nice little word of wisdom
Yeah.
like that. What else? Oh, how funny was it when we were talking about when Corinne was like, "Vanessa doesn't have any depth. I just don't feel the depth."
And all of America's probably that's
Correct.
exactly what we
Yeah.
feel like watching you.
Like, stop
funny.
talking.
She's so good, though. I hope she
so
gets a
good.
spin-off. That's
She's
my prediction. I
so
feel like she'll
good.
get a spin-off.
I'm in
think
on that
so.
prediction.
I think she'll
Yeah.
be the one after the twins who gets the
Something.
happily ever after.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I guess that's it for this episode,
Yeah,
right?
what a
Yeah.
wild ride, I guess this is.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
in.
thank
Of course,
you.
have me every week. I don't care.
Aw.
I love it.
Where can they find you? Where can people follow you?
Well, they should definitely listen to my podcast, the I Don't Get It podcast, which is all about the things I don't get in life, which is mostly men. Then they can find me on Instagram, Ashley_Iaconetti, and Twitter at Ashley Ico.
Ashley I. You guys know my blog, themillennialmiss.com, Instagram at millennialmiss, and Twitter is below here somewhere at Briche.
I love that you have like 3 different things.
I know. I'm working, you guys. Keep your fingers crossed. I've almost got all the handles.
Yay! Fingers crossed.
Someone's stealing the other one, so I gotta get it.
And you guys, thank you so much for tuning into like our girl gang tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
The boys should be back next week, but I'm Kristina. You can follow me at Miss Zias and MissZias.com. And we'll see you guys next week, right? You'll be here, right?
I'm not here next week.
Oh.
Miss
Chelsea's
you guys
not here,
already.
but bye.
I'll be back. Okay. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.